make sure I actually go live here. It actually shows up. It's the annoying thing is sometimes it doesn't show up instantly.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not. It's like
there we go.
you're good.
This is Michael Pepper Tech Talk, and my guest as of this moment is Apple Monster. And if anybody else wants to join us, just let me know. Hit me up in the DMs on Twitter, and I'll send you a link, and we can have fun. This is just kind of a laid back. I haven't been able to do one of these in a while. I've been doing my creator interviews and things like that, which are great. I love doing that. But every once in a while, it's nice to just kind of sit back and do whatever I want and not have to necessarily concentrate on a specific creator or specific set of things. I mean, I do have some topics that we'll talk about tonight, but it's mainly kind of a belated birthday celebration. My actual birthday was Tuesday, but since I've started doing these streams on Thursdays, I figured it made more sense to actually just continue that. So if anybody wants to hop on, just let me know. You don't even have to be a creator. You can just, you want to talk, you want to ask questions, whatever. And thank you, Cameron. And I guess mainly one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how cool the community has been and how motivational and inspirational and supportive and everything. People have kind of stepped forward and taken their time to help me out in ways that they didn't have to. I mean, I had somebody send me a couple things. They wish to remain anonymous, so I will keep that way. But I got an 11-inch iPad Pro here, and this is going to be weird. It's going to be like some Inception going on, but somebody was nice enough to send me the Bridge keyboard, which even right now on sale, I've seen it on Amazon. They have it $50 off, but it's still like $100. And then they sent a nice, I'm actually using it right now. It's a Belkin 2-meter long USB-C cable, which
that's awesome, man.
It's really handy. The only downside is anything over a meter with Apple's charger, you lose wattage. Basically, in order to maintain, you lose data transfer speed. So like if I was transferring to my computer or like from a phone to my iPad, I would want to use the 1 meter one. So far, charging speeds have maintained using the cable, and I'm using it right now to charge. And then this was another topic I was wanting to get on. This little guy that Tech Odyssey, Adam, sent out. He's been doing some creator giveaways and kind of sent, and also Palm was nice enough to be a part of it and help him to be able to do this. So I got, it's charged up. I actually put it back on the charger because, let's see if I can actually get it out of the case real quick here. Of course, now it's going to be a pain.
Always is.
Anyways, if you can tell, it's gold.
Oh wow!
And it kind of looks like
beautiful.
a mini. It looks like a mini iPhone.
But yeah, it really does.
It's really, 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 really nice looking. And I've been really impressed so far. What software is it running? It runs version of Android. I don't know. I think it's Android 9, I want to say. It has Face Unlock, which is interesting. And then it also has this, like, if you swipe up on the main screen, you can put in my PIN because it's not going to catch my face behind the microphone. You can put in on the lock screen, basically it pops up this mode where you can search through a list of the apps, but you can write with your finger, like the first letter. as like a shortcut to
Oh
get to
wow.
them, which is kind of cool. So it is using a version of Android 8.1. It's on the November 1st,
Oh,
2019 security
didn't know.
patch of it. So it's not anything recent, but it's not for what it's running. I think it's the Snapdragon 4. Actually, I have the site up here. I can pull it up here real quick. So this is their site. It's just palm.com. And the idea of this is kind of almost to act like a smartwatch would, but in a foam form, so you're not constantly looking at it. It only has a 800 milliamp hour
Oh,
battery, but the idea is that well, I'll get into more in depth in a second, but I'm trying to find what was I looking for? I forgot what I was looking for now. Um huh. Anyways, so it included unlimited talk, text, and 8 gigs of data for the first month for free through US Mobile.
oh wow.
And I think they use Verizon. When I was looking through their information, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure they are. And if you're the type of person that this device is for, and I can get into that a little bit of um, who I think this is for, but they have plans that start at $5 a month, and I think that's like talk, text, and like 1 gig of data, if I remember correctly, and then all the way up to $30 a month, which is 8 gigs of data. Um, but the way this device
That's
was
amazing.
originally announced and kind of was originally for was it's a companion device. So you have your primary smartphone, and then basically there's a few different ways you could do it. Originally, when it came out, this thing was $350 on. It was Verizon exclusive, and basically you paid that amount, and then you paid $10 a month, and essentially your same phone number and
Wow.
everything was used with this device. And the idea is you're going out for the night and you don't want to be interrupted. So you put on what they call life mode. And essentially, what that does is when the screen is off, your texts and your calls and all your notifications and everything don't go through. So it's like
Oh,
really,
so
really,
it's like a
really
do not
being blocked.
disturb.
Yeah, but on like ultra level, like quite literally, um,
Damn.
and when you go and wake it up, then all your notifications come through. If you had a missed call, that will come in. Texts will come in. Depending
Wow.
on how you have it
That's
set up,
amazing.
you can. And but the one thing that you can do is like if you're going for a jog or you're going for a walk or whatever, you can use a Bluetooth headset and have music playing, and that will play in the background, and then your notifications will just be whatever until you wake it up. So let's say, for instance, you're going out on a date night and you can just leave your regular phone at home, grab this thing, and then you just have it for, if you have, let's say you have kids, or let's say you have dogs and somebody's dog sitting, they can get a hold of you. But you'll really
Yeah.
only see it when you unlock. You can turn that off, like that's a mode you put on. But
Hmm.
with it off, and if you're constantly using it, you're gonna get maybe an hour and a half of battery of like screen on time if you're lucky because of the size of the battery being so kind of small. Um,
Damn.
but it's not designed for that. Like I said, it's designed kind of to be like your smartwatch. So you carry it, and then there's a lanyard that I got, and there's two different length ones, so you could just strap it around your neck. It looks pretty nice, and just kind of have it there or have it in your jacket pocket. And then, you're out to dinner, you get done with dinner, you could send a message saying, hey, we're done with dinner or whatever on to um, movie or whatever you're going to, a concert, and just keep in touch with people without that constant interruption. It kind of reminds me of there was a company that did a smartphone that, or they did a phone that it looked like this flat, bleh, it looked like a flat piece of plastic
Hmm.
that basically had numbers on it, so you could dial phone, but that was it.
Oh wow.
I think it was called the No Phone or something like that. Was one of them, and basically it was the size of a credit card, so you carried it in your pocket, and then how that worked though is you had your regular smartphone and it connected to like Bluetooth, but you put your regular smartphone on. Um,
I don't know if you saw the
I just
message
saw
from.
it. It
Okay.
put your regular smartphone on Do Not Disturb, and then you can use that. You could use that, and it paired to it basically like a Bluetooth headset, and um, that similar idea with this is to be able to use it as like a supplementary device. So,
Right, right.
and
Which is good for the people who don't like big phones, you know?
well, and I even thought like for an older person that doesn't need,
Mm,
because you could just have whatever on it and you could have it turned off, and if they need it, or you could just leave it plugged in into the wall. It's small.
yeah, yeah.
It's for the like $5 a month for the lowest one, which I think is just talk and text, is pretty cheap. So if you have somebody that's not necessarily um like they don't need something like my grandma has where she has like a lifeline,
Hmm.
but they need to be able to get a hold of family and stuff, to be able to give them something like that. And now you can get one of these things for like super cheap.
Oh
So,
wow.
like I've seen them for, I mean, they're not as cheap as alternatives. Like you could obviously go grab a really cheap lower end Android phone, and you would probably get some better quality stuff than you might get. But it's $100 I've seen them for, and they include the first month. So even with that, and there's a 14-day no questions money back guarantee sort of thing, and so
Now let me ask you: is that like a one-piece phone, like the iPhone, or does the back come off to see the battery?
it's like a single one piece phone. There's um I'll get it out of the case here real quick. It has a SIM card slot because I had to put the SIM in.
So it's kind of like it's literally like a mini iPhone,
Yeah,
pretty
the
much.
way it looks and stuff. I mean, it'd be hard to make it look like anything but that when in consideration that you just have this small phone with basically a single camera and a flash on the back.
Yeah. How about the pictures? Have you
Um,
tested that out or?
so in all honesty, they're not awful. Let me see real quick here. Um, we will do this. So I actually took this photo.
Oh,
These photos, they're not the greatest, but they're usable, right? I mean, there's some detail in the sky and stuff there. And for the fact, unlike this one, the TV's not extremely blown out and you have nice
yeah.
lighting in here and stuff. And you can see my son was playing. I actually cropped in on this one. My wife, I mean,
Wow.
the eye of this On a huge screen like I'm looking at it right now, it's not the best, but like some of what I've been able to get out of it, like I could miss this moment easily, but it's in focus. Samsung. Anyways,
Definitely.
um,
Oh,
and like look at this flower and like the detail like on
yeah,
these.
yeah.
This one is
That wow.
really hard, like for
Oh my
any
God, that's
because reds
beautiful.
really blow out. And then I was like just randomly because I thought about all the colors here. Um, and like this was in the
Mm.
hallway in kind of a dark area. Um, it's grainy. It's not the greatest thing,
Oh,
but like
yeah,
just to be able to get some of these experiences that you don't normally get. Hi, Lewis.
yeah, definitely for sure.
Um, that we don't normally get is quite something. And quite literally, I mean, it's smaller than the SIM card thing here. Let me see if I can actually grab.
Oh, okay. I'm
Um,
all lost.
so if people know the size of the card that SIM cards come on, the phone.
You might want to blow that up a little so people can see it.
Oh yeah, I'll do that real quick here. How do I get just myself? I think there we go. I mean that's the size of the phone is like the size of the card
Oh wow,
in perspective. I mean it's about the same width,
wow.
it's a little bit longer, but um, it's nope, this one. It's I mean, I threw it right in my pocket with my other phones and stuff. Wasn't worried about it getting scratched up like crazy. There's not a lot of surface area for it. I got a screen protector. I didn't
Yeah.
put it on yet. That came with it. But I actually told Adam that I thought it would be cool to have this company do a full-on smartphone because the it's pretty quick for the processor and stuff that they put in it. It doesn't have very much RAM, it doesn't have very much storage or any stuff, but um stuff takes a minute to load up,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not awful for what it is. I mean, that that processor that they used in here, if I can find. So yeah, it just shows examples of people using it because it's got IP68 water resistance. Um, and just people like using it by the beach or using it out and about. That's the other thing. So if you have, $1,000 plus phone, you might not carry that by the beach. Actually, you know what this would be perfect with? If somebody had the fold,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they can use that in normal instances and stuff. But then like if they're going for a run or they're going to the beach or the bar or whatever where there might be issues with moisture and stuff, they can just throw this thing in their pocket and be good to go for the few
Right.
hours
Yeah.
or whatever. And then as far as the bridge that I was talking about, they now have the Bridge Pro Plus that will be coming out late next month. And this actually has a trackpad on it, which is kind of funny because one of the Apple rumors is that iOS 14 will have trackpad support, and that
Yeah.
Apple's
I saw
next
that.
keyboard case will, and they're already working on, you have the matching, so it matches the color of whatever your
And they're make
particular model is.
yeah, and they're making like the smart keyboard with the trackpad as well. I don't know if that's the same that you're talking
Yeah.
about, but
And it has a lot of the functionalities
which
of
is
like the
excuse me.
gestures to do the expose mode and like swiping up to bring up the dock and things like that are pretty cool. Um, the one thing I can say
What
is I just
what
hope they
would be
work on
really
their
cool? Go ahead, go ahead.
I hope they work on their backlit keyboard a little bit better because on the one that I have, the um oh, I just realized I didn't even have the thing up, did I? There we go. Um the control option and command keys are all really dark until you crank the brightness to full brightness. So there's three different brightness settings, and at like the first two, they're barely legible. And then on the third there, and I can't even show you because it's, the light in here wouldn't even but I hope they improved upon that a little bit. But I think it's cool that they have the matching to match the colors of whatever, iPad you have. So like mine, you can see here, I have the space gray, and then and then it has
Yeah.
just this magnetic that goes on the back here. But it matches the iPad quite nicely. And
Oh, that's
then
awesome.
this doesn't really protect, a lot, but if you're throwing it,
Right.
that on there and you're going to put it in a bag, like let's say with your laptop or something, or like with the charger, just to have something that protects the back, or you're putting it in a sleeve is nice. The only thing I don't like is with the earlier versions of it, like the models for um the iPad Air and some of the earlier iPad Pros, they actually had a case where these right um, they're like clips that hold the iPad. Those were further in,
Yeah.
and then so you could use the iPad either direction, which was nice. But what was also nice is they made like a plastic clamshell that went over the back of the thing that really protected it, and then it had little bumps that went over those. Um, so your iPad was actually protected, and you could use that case even out of the keyboard. That's the only downside of the way it's designed. And I would also like to see a company that uses Apple's pin connectors. I know they would have to pay whatever the licensing that Apple charges to get access to be able to do that. But I would really
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
see, um, because the downside to Bluetooth is, of course, your iPad battery life is affected a little bit by Bluetooth. Now, if you're using wireless earbuds or something anyways, it's not like it's affecting it huge. And the other thing is delay. So I type really fast, and I've actually had times where like I'm typing and then the letters take a minute to show up because Bluetooth, even though it's right there. And you can do a wired. It actually has a mode where you can plug in to the um, from the USB-C port on the iPad to the USB-C port on the case. And essentially what it will do is it will charge the keyboard from the iPad, but it will also work as connections. So like if the Bluetooth died,
Hmm.
it will connect that way and it will give it some charge. But you either need to have, you got to have a cable, and it can't be super short because of the distance when it's open. But you don't want a super
Right.
long
Yeah.
cable that's hanging all over the place either. So that's the only downside with that. And also, I only ended up getting the 64 gig model because of the whole situation with the virus that's going around. Basically, they were looking at 3 to 4 weeks out before the 256 gig model was supposed to be available. Of course, 3 days after I get mine. they showed a
Mm,
256 gig model available. But we all know how that works because
dang.
I was told that
Oh yeah.
before and it wasn't. But T-Mobile really worked with me. They put a $50 credit on my account because the one wasn't available that I wanted. Um,
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
I just wanted to say hi and happy birthday before we continue.
thank you, Louis.
Yeah,
You all set over there?
yeah, I'm all set. I just been quiet. I want to be rude and interrupt.
Oh, okay. I didn't know realize that
Yeah.
Zag makes cases.
Oh yeah, they do. I forgot to
Huh.
mention.
Like, well, I looked at the Zag keyboard
Yeah.
when I was at Best Buy. I looked at their let's see, I'll pull it up real quick here if I can. I looked at I think it was this one. Hopefully it will load up. It might take a second. Yeah, I looked at this one because I thought it was nice that you had this case that was separate. Of course. Go away. This case was separate, right? And the way it was designed that it all kind of went together
Oh
like this. But then you had this thing that was separate and then it has this back prop up piece here.
yeah, yeah.
And then that folds so you get your multiple angles and then your keyboard. Because the nice thing about that is I could take my iPad and like set it on the table in front of me or like the table to the side of me or like we have TV trays, set it up there and have the keyboard on my lap and be typing. Or like when I'm doing these streams, I could have my iPad set up next to me and just have the keyboard down here and you wouldn't even notice and I could be typing on that instead of my computer keyboard to respond to messages and stuff. Um, but it's pretty nice. It's got backlit. The battery life is, and
Ooh,
it's got
I love that.
seven different colors that you can do, but it's not cheap. $150, but it was $20 off
Ooh,
when I was at
dang.
Best Buy.
And now it says 15% off on the coupon when you click the X.
Yeah. So that was I think to bring it close in price because that would be 22.50 off or whatever. And of course Amazon does deals on stuff too, but
You know what the problem
um
with those keyboards is just the latency of typing. Because I'm like you, I work all my life in an office environment, so I could type fast, 15 above, and sometimes I feel like they super slow to my typing. That's only negative for me.
and on the note of since I mentioned it, and I know a couple of people have had issues with it, like Viper got demonetized because of mentioning. But I saw The Verge posted it today, and I also saw it. I couldn't find it again, but in my Apple News app, there was another site that posted about this, and they said that um, YouTube is going to basically, because of people getting so upset with getting demonetized because of talking about the coronavirus.
Yeah, the
Um,
bear flu.
Mm-hmm.
and just a precautionary thing, if anybody out there is monetized, don't say the word, but I'm not, so I don't really care. Um,
Yeah, but you know what?
yeah, yeah.
You still get in trouble. That's what I heard, even though you're not monetized. That's
so
what it is.
yeah, but anyways, that they're going to be more direct with looking at the videos that get pinged for it, where it's somebody passively mentioning it, like I did. I'm not talking about it. Um, I'm not sharing information about it. And like Viper mentioned it because he was talking about Apple's event being canceled and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
problem in
Yeah, I was
how it
watching a little
works,
bit of that today.
is that their software just picks up you mentioning it and immediately punishes you for that. There's no like secondary, and then it gets sent to a team of people who look over it. But that team of people are
Yep.
usually in a call center somewhere and they just are doing the same thing. They're not given any
Yeah.
sort of standards to go by. They're just being told, "Hey, look for the word. Did they actually say it? If they did, they are still demonetized if it, because sometimes it will pick up, maybe they said something similar and it, and then those ones get put back put back in. Um, but now I guess there's some more standards in like if it seems like they're not directly talking about it, then that gets sent back for reapproval. And I think I saw something though on Twitter that Viper said he had another video that got doinked. So,
Really?
yep.
I didn't see that.
So we'll see. Hopefully he'll get that back because I know that's pretty important to him. And the problem is not only so let's say I was monetized, but I have a sponsorship and that's where I get money from more than AdSense from Google. The problem is
Mm-hmm.
if these companies see that you're constantly getting demonetized, they might withdraw their sponsorship. And the other thing is if you're getting demonetized, most likely your videos are also not showing up as high in suggestions, which also
Mm-hmm.
hurts
Mm-hmm.
because then these companies are going to be like, well, you're showing up lower, so we're going to pay somebody else. Um, we're going to pay somebody else because they didn't do something to get doinked. Okay, so Chris says it was his headset video and it was demonetized after having been up for 12 hours. Wow.
But
Dang.
that's the problem that I have
Dang.
because this is the problem because the system is not 100%. Either well, either the algorithm and the human being that is checking it. So therefore, it's a discrepancy always. I understand they got thousands and thousands and millions of people, but they need to work on that better because what happens if you're getting paid? Say you're a decent sized YouTuber and you're getting a lot of hits, then you're gonna lose money if you're missing 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't know if they reimburse you that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. Yeah. So if you like, let's say it was demonetized for a time period in which you got, so let's say you got like 50,000 views on a video, but 35,000 of those happened while it was demonetized. So
Correct.
essentially you'd be getting paid for 15,000, which would be 30% of your, so not, and then they take their 30%. So essentially you would be getting paid 21% and of instead of 70%
But can you prove that if you
Mm-hmm.
win the case?
essentially.
Will,
So
will they give you the money back if you win the case?
I'm not sure how that works if it's just like, well, you're monetized again. If they look back at the analytics and say, hey, you had all these views, I don't know if they do that.
Or
I
take
would
off
guess not
or take off the
because
new one? Like
um
they say monetize now and in this minute and then the rest you lost it and then you start again. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
I don't know. That would be a question. That would be a good question to put out there into the Twitter sphere and ask people that deal with being monetized. That would be a good question for somebody like Roberto Blake, who probably would be able to tell you because he deals with like legal side of stuff and he deals with
Mm-hmm.
his own and other people all the time. And he would probably
Yeah.
his team of experts would probably have looked into that at some point to determine what happened. So my guess is it would be like initially it would be a sorry we messed up, now you're monetized again. um but that's
Yeah.
concerning too because like I said, that's and that could be a lot of money. I mean, what if it was like a video that got over 1 million views and like 980,000 of them happened while you were monetized or something, or you know,
Yeah. True.
demonetized. I mean, like that. I mean, I don't see that it would be that. I would think for a channel bigger, they would probably be more on top of it than for smaller channels that might not like the total monetary value might not be as much. It might be $2 or $3 for a smaller channel, but for a larger channel, it could be 10 grand. that they lose. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
But see,
but we don't
uh,
know.
but see, getting back to that, see, I seen stuff like that because I've been here long enough. Even though I mean I haven't posted for a while, but I've been researching, and I seen people, fix their stuff fast because they bigger. But what happened to the little guy that got 50, 60,000, 30,000, and they're earning like 700 out of the revenue? Then they lose a lot because they're not big. That's not fair.
Yeah. I mean, but we also have to think that that's that's commercial. I mean, that's just like any business. I mean, I know several people in here that can tell you that if like
Definitely.
let's say for example, the health department comes in and they shut you down because somebody reported something, but then it turns out that's wrong. The health department's not going to pay you back for the 2-3 days you were closed down and gonna help you get the
Yeah.
customers back that you
Exactly.
may have lost and the advertisers you may have lost. Like that's that's the downside of it, and that's part of doing business, unfortunately. And then you got to move on from there, or you got to look at it and be like, well, if these companies believed that and they don't believe me now and aren't willing to work with me, you probably didn't want to work with them to begin with. So
Yep.
Yeah, but even though
Yep.
you're small, I'm just saying I'm averaging between 20 to 60,000, just basing it on that. I mean, on the average, it's still a penny. It's a penny or 30%, whatever they get, is still getting some out of you. Why you got to get screwed? Even when they fix it, they're still gonna get paid and get something out of you.
yeah,
Yeah, I do understand that we're getting a service for free. If we want to pay for putting videos, it's more money, but still, we're still earning money for them. It's not fair.
it's true. Um, and it's not good for them if you're demonetized either, because that's money they don't get. They don't get that 30%. So like if you would have made 10 grand, that's 3 grand that they didn't make, for their
Yeah.
30%. Um, you would have gotten 7 grand or whatever. But um, like you said though, you have to remember that we don't pay. So for example, all my videos, all my hours of streaming that I do from now until I hit 1,000 and the 4,000 hours, they're hosting for free. They put ads in. They put ads, only if you, um, you know, I don't think they put ads in our stuff. So, um,
True.
essentially, they're hosting those hours and hours, and you could be somebody who, for example, makes a lot of their funding from YouTube through sponsorships and things like that, and you're not monetized. So you're making money doing this in a different way, but Google, YouTube is still hosting your stuff and you're not paying anything and you're not earning anything from them perhaps. Um, and then you have somebody who has a larger channel who is bringing in a lot of money and earning AdSense through them and also still earning. But you could have two people. For example, you could have somebody with 950 subscribers and you could have somebody with 950,000 subscribers that earn the same amount because let's say um, the person with 950 subscribers still gets a lot of views and their thing is they have deals with some companies and stuff, and the person with 950,000 doesn't have as many partners. They essentially YouTube is making, I mean, both people are making the same amount of money, but YouTube is for free hosting the smaller channel then. But I mean, likelihood of that happening that drastic of is not, but I mean, I've seen channels out there that have very little subscribers, but their videos have like millions of views per video. And it's because
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
they have their own site and they link to YouTube and people click and watch, but they don't subscribe on
That happens
YouTube.
to me a lot.
Um, but because there's channels that, and then there are also channels that do a lot of like reaction videos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and technically that's free use. They're not violating any copyright or anything like that, and they get the views, but people just don't subscribe. Um,
Yeah, I got a
Mm-hmm.
question about that. So what happened if it's you're doing music because you don't have the license to the music, so there you're doing reaction, how that works.
so I looked into this because funny enough, I thought about on my personal channel because I like music and I like to sing and do stuff like that. I actually thought about doing covers on my own channel. Um, Here's the thing. So there are a few different licensing concerns with that you have to get technically to be completely covered. Um, and it's for things like um the actual music itself, and then there's the lyrics, and then there is um a performance license is different. So, for example, it's similar to um let's say a musician that does cover songs but performs them and gets paid to do this, like traveling, because there are people that do that. They have to pay a fee um to perform the music, but they also have, and then there's things like if you're just playing the music, so DJs and things like that aren't performing it, but they're playing it. And then you have cover artists who, depending on how you do it, are you just playing their music back with the words stripped out and singing to it? Or are you sitting down and actually playing it on an instrument and performing it yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Because then there's things like playback licensing versus performance licensing versus um like basically just paying for the rights to be able to play it. So the difference is the rights for you to play it on your instrument and perform it versus just using what they've already done and essentially playing it back and then you singing. um because I watch a few different channels that do that. There's actually one of the videos I watched to figure out what I wanted to do for my microphone setup and everything, and is a um, she's a Christian music cover artist, and that's what she does is she performs covers to different Christian band songs on YouTube. But um, she gets a licensing that basically covers all of it. So
So that's more money because you got to pay out of your pocket.
yeah, but she
Once a while.
pays, it's cheaper for her to pay something that's kind of a blanketed licensing that covers all those types of things than for her to pay just like, because she sits down, she plays the guitar and sings to pay like the performance licensing. Because then also, if she decides one day, well, there's a song that she really wants to sing, but she doesn't know how to play it, since she has the licensing, she could play it. She could just play the recording of it without the lyrics, like the karaoke version of it, sing and submit that out, and she would be covered. Um,
Mm.
Now, fortunately for YouTube, as far as I found, it's a little bit different because typically you actually have to pay per song. So you would go to, for example, um, let's say I um, go out at night and I do covers of Eminem rap songs and I get
Mhm.
paid to do this. I'm like a, cover artist or whatever. I would basically use a service to go to his um his manager and his people and the company that owns the rights to all of his songs and get the rights to be able to do that. So it depends on what you're doing, but on YouTube it's a little bit different because there's services that basically you pay and they go and get the rights for you. But you just got to be careful and make sure you have it before you post the video because you don't want to assume that you have the rights and then get sued or your video taken down or even 3 strikes against you because you put up 3 videos that you thought you had and now your channel's done for and there's no way to really resolve that once you get those strikes.
Yeah,
You could start another channel, but
that category is difficult because if you're new, you don't have money. Before you start, gonna be broke.
so
Most of us don't have it like that when we start.
so far what I've heard is that for the most part, if you're doing cover songs on YouTube and you're just getting started, they're not going to come after you. You're not making any money from it. And as long as you're not like blatantly ripping off other artists and trying to claim it's your own. And it kind of depends too, because it depends on what the parent company is. It Sony Music? Is it just kind of depends because the recent thing in copyright has actually been musicians getting sued for using their own stuff because they didn't own the rights to it and they performed it outside of their paid like contracted agreement, and that can happen. Ariana Grande had a couple times that she used photos by paparazzi and she got sued because technically the paparazzi owns the rights to that, and even though it's her image, she had to get permission to use them, and that's how those laws work. I mean, technically the law says whoever's finger pressed the button, hit the shutter, they own the rights to it until they give that up to somebody else.
Right.
One of the weird ones was actually a zoo that tried to sue somebody because somebody dropped their camera in the monkey pit and the monkey got a hold of it and snapped photos. And then the person used those. And it was a private zoo. So the private zoos technically tried to say, well, the monkey took the photos so that and technically they were right. By law, the monkey took the photos so but they're an animal. So it would go to the zoo. Now the judge basically said this is ridiculous, and they were like, "Sure, pay him $2." There you go, like that, because they have to award something. So they're like, "Here, pay him $2. Now they're yours." So
wow,
that's the thing on that. As far as copyright and all that is concerned, and we really. It's one of those that you have to do your research because, for example, I put up those websites. Technically speaking, if I played a video on there or there was something on there like a video that auto played, I could get into trouble if I tried to use that or play that back without. I mean, there's certain links and there's certain exceptions. Showing the website I'm okay to do because it's anything that you can view, right? You can decently view it yourself.
Yeah.
But for me to click and play a video, then you have other things that are taken into concern. And, I gave those websites credit. I said I'm on palm.com, I'm on Verge, I'm on, I didn't just show it. And so giving credit to the companies. So that's one thing as creators that we have to look into, is and think about is if we're using a website to show off stuff, or if you go online, for example, Apple Monster put the Apple logo. If he put, the Apple logo in the back of his video, that's okay to a certain extent, but you still have to be careful with that even. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
because in theory, Apple could come after him and be like, we don't agree with what he's saying, so we don't want him promoting us for free. So that's why, like, when I talk about stuff, I have to be very specific about saying, they didn't send me this, I bought it on my own. They don't know that I'm
Right.
doing
Right.
this or
Right.
whatever sort of thing. Um,
Disclaimer.
because it's things like that. I mean, there's a channel I watch. His name is Corey Holzman, and he does um, computer builds, and he does live streams, and he likes to drink Coca-Cola out of glass bottles. And every time he's on, he's very specific about, they didn't send me these. I like them. They're not a sponsor because just having the bottle there.
Yep.
So I got another
Which with
question.
YouTube nowadays,
Yeah, my question is, okay, say you're doing a product review, right? So you bought it on your own and you put the disclaimer out there, but your core audience sometimes want a link, but you're not affiliated or associated with affiliation on Amazon, and you put a link. I mean, the other person's getting paid. So I wonder how that works. Would you put a link or would you not put a
I
link?
believe we actually lost.
Huh?
I think I'm back.
Oh, I'm
Mike,
sorry. I didn't know you was lost.
okay.
I was talking. My apologies.
I don't know what happened.
I just saw him pause like that. I'm like, think we lost him.
I was too concentrated talking. Yeah, getting back to my question. My question was, if you're doing a product review, right? But you say you bought. Oh, are you back?
Yeah.
Okay. So repeat the question. So if you doing a product review you bought on your own, and you stated on your video that you bought it from your own money, but your core audience wanted link, but you don't have affiliated links or nothing because you bought it on your own pocket. How would that work? Because you don't want to put a link and somebody else get paid if you're not affiliated with Amazon or whatever company or 20% discount. How would you go
You
about it?
you can put links, you just have to specify whether you're getting paid or not. Basically be like, hey, here's a link to, Samsung.com/Note 20, when that comes out or whatever. This is where I got it from, but you have to specify, hey, I'm not affiliated with them, I don't get paid. Or, when I post to Amazon, in most of my videos, I say, hey, check out my links down below. I have an Amazon affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but I get a kickback from that. So if you want to order something, please use that or whatever. It helps me out. And
But,
that's the truth.
but I got a big but. What happened is that video is your lucky video and you get it semi-viral or viral. I mean, sucks for you.
Mm, it depends. I mean, they so the only thing you can't really do is like lie. You couldn't be like, "Oh, I paid for this," or just not say that if somebody sent a company sends you a product, and you don't say that they did, um, you know, then you're leaving it open to basically saying that people did, that the company did, because everybody's going to basically make that assumption then.
No,
Um,
I mean, I understand all that, but I'm just saying if you buy it on your own pocket and you just make that, like recommendation stuff like that, you put a link and you hit viral, semi-viral, then you losing. That's my only.
Yeah, you are in a way because then you're not getting paid, by the company or whatever. But here's the thing. So if that really went crazy and then the company
Somebody say
says,
happy birthday.
oh, yes, I have no idea who that is other than they started showing up like a couple of videos ago. And so, yeah. So, so, well, I think that is enough for tonight. I'm going to let you guys go and
Okay.
I'll see you guys next week. Thank you, everybody, for
All
watching,
right, man.
and have
Hey,
a good night.
Good night. Enjoy your day.
see you guys.